Hi guys, this is Brian from Echo1 USA, and in this video I'm going to go ahead and take apart the lower part of the ASC Heavy. So I already have a video, I'll put a link on the bottom in the description on how to take apart the hop-up unit and the rest of the upper parts, so you can check that out as well. But first, all I need to do is pop out the front body pin, just tap it a little, pops out, make sure it wiggles like so. There's a little clip that holds it in place. And just for safekeeping, try to press it back so you don't lose anything or bend anything. Put this here. Notice you can see the MadBull blue bucking already installed, which is pretty sweet. Okay, now the lower part of the gearbox. Let's get started. Gonna have to use Allen key. Take these out. Okay. Also, you have the motor set screw here. You can raise and lower. Go ahead and take the motor out. And due to the thinness of the grip, you do have the wires on either side, which is okay. Take out the motor. Just a standard motor. Nothing too crazy. Gets the job done. And then on the inside, you're going to have the two Phillips. Take those out. Try not to have those fall into the gearbox, so you might not notice, and then you're going to look on the table and you don't see it inside, and that could be a problem if you try to shoot it. So you can always just shake it, pop them out right there. Okay, here we go. Now for this, you're going to need a 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5 Allen to take these off. So for the mag release, you can press on one side or press here for the ambi functions. So what we do is just kind of hold on one side, small 1.5 Allen, pop that up, and it comes out. It just kind of hangs out inside there. So shake it, the spring comes out. Now for this part, you have the loop for the front of the gearbox, and there's a little kind of like a rectangle flange for the mag release. It will get kind of cut on it, so you have to kind of, I don't know if you can see that, kind of wiggle it past and just wiggle it, and it's a super tight fit, but then it just pops out. So it doesn't really scratch it or damage or anything. It's just a snug, tight fit. So take that out and you're good. Now for the selectors, go ahead and switch them to the semi mode. And this is different than the ASC Lite variation, which we have. Also have videos for that. Go ahead and loosen one. Now you notice there's a spring there and a ball bearing in there. If you bump it, it's going to fly off and you don't know where it goes. So always work in a clean area. Don't judge my table. But work in a clean area. And if you hold the gun basically level, the bearing won't roll out or anything. It'll kind of stay in there. And what I like to do is hold upside down and just put it in like that, so it's right there, so I see the spring, the bearing, and the selector. Now take out the other one. Remember, keep it like a flat table on top. Pop it out, spring's right in there, bearing's right there. Pick it up. Okay, cool. The selectors are the same, so what you can do is just put them aside. You don't really have to worry about mixing them up. Okay, now you have a 2mm Allen. What I'm going to do is go ahead, just hold out with a pair of pliers, loosen this up, screw comes out, and then here's the little part. Basically, these two little nubs interact in here on the little selector cam, and you're good to go. Then get the other side, take this off. Okay. Now, almost done. Now you have stuff on the back and a screw up front. A trick you can use, like say if you're working on your lower, instead of putting it all together and everything, since the lower is pretty easy to pop in place, you can use a large battery, with basically a large plug it in like so. That's a simple trick. It's pretty cool. Saves you lots of time. Remember, you have red on this side, black on this side, so just line it up, you'll be good. Okay, you have 2 small Phillips screws. I'm going to try to see them. See if I can, okay, that's in the way now. And 1 large Allen. Let me go ahead and take that out. Now once you take out the Allen screw, you're going to notice it's kind of long, and then there's basically a metal donut that connects in between here. Okay, take off the other small Phillips screw, pop this part up, and you're going to notice how the wires are in the back. And they're just basically pressed in place with a little spring. They pop up. So to put them back in, you want to do is kind of seesaw back at an angle like so, and drop it in place. And then once you have this part locked down, it'll be flush and it'll sit correctly. If you have the spring like that, it's not going to work. You have to kind of basically squish the spring a little. So this is when you have the stock in there. It's somewhat springy to keep a constant connection with the back part. Okay, so pop these up. Okay, now almost there. You notice gearbox is somewhat wiggly, but you're going to need to take out the little screw. Just loosen that. Should shake out. Okay, gotta gently pull on it. Okay, it comes out. And this is for this little, basically the nozzle protector. So when you have your hop-up unit, how it slides together, you just don't damage the nozzle. Okay, slide this out. Okay. Now if you look closely, you're going to see, it wiggled a little. Need to line it back up. Okay, this is the orientation you want to have when you put it back together. Basically you have vertical line, angle line, angle line. And it's in the semi-auto mode. So when you turn it, it'll drop down, and that'll be the safe. And then for the other side, this part will fall off. It's because it's just kind of resting in there, and the only thing that holds it on is a little part here and the selector. This one, once you have this side on the safe mode, I mean not safe, the semi-auto mode, with all the parts lined up, you want to match this on the same side, like that. So the 2 little pegs are horizontal, and the lines are angled and matching. Put that aside. Okay, now let's take this bad boy apart. First, you're going to need a tiny, tiny, tiny Allen. Thank you. Take this out. Okay, once you loosen it, what I do is I just tap on the axle, or basically the metal pole, to pop this up and kind of separate them. Pop this one down. And the little Allen is still inside there. Okay, now let me go ahead and unlock the spring. Basically pulling on the reversal latch, pull it down so the bevel gear can spin freely. Everything goes forward. So as you can see, the piston head is right there, basically all the way forward. So open this up. A little bit of styrofoam there. Okay, once you have screws off, go ahead and take off the top of the gearbox shell. Okay, notice how it's a version 2 gearbox, reinforced with the 7mm bearings, which is pretty sweet. Short spring, so you have a higher rate of fire, but still plenty of power, shooting about 400 FPS. If you have a longer spring, you're going to have the same FPS, but more time for the spring to be compressed, pulled all the way back. That's the advantage of a short spring. Kind of like the old school PDI 210, which was one of my favorite springs, and they still are. Okay, bearing spring guide. Then you have a PolyCarb piston, somewhat greasy, which is super good. Second tooth already removed. Piston head, which is ported and polycarb. Okay, a regular version 2 tappet plate. The air seal nozzle is longer, but you can use aftermarket air seal nozzles like from BFC, and Modify should be coming out with some shortly, just like they did for the lights. Regular stock cylinder head. The cylinder is a Type 1, kind of like an M4, with the hole in there. The gears are steel, and they already have a sector clip already installed, which is pretty sweet. Reversal latch is normal, and also, if you don't like to use the hook technique, you can use a small flathead under here to pull on the reversal latch. So you have two choices. Here's your wire harness, and that is the internals of the Echo1 ASC Heavy. Same gearbox for the tan and black version. Stay tuned for the assembly video coming up next.